I feel like Hunter Renfrow is one of the more interesting fifth round picks that's happened in quite some time because he was actually kind of hyped up, coming out of college and coming into the draft, despite the fact that he did fall so far in the draft and he was selected in the fifth round. I think a lot of people sort of figured, okay, you know what? Basically a slot guy, your typical short white receiver, the guy who can run a lot of slants and, can make catches, but that's kind of, not necessarily an elite number one guy. And I think for the most part, that's kind of how he's been. He's been a pretty good slot guy. Now, that's not to say he can only play from the slot. In fact, typically, I feel like the term slot guy has kind of gone through some sort of a weird change, almost like how literally doesn't mean literally anymore, where, typically a slot guy just means a guy who can run slant routes very well and run things over the middle very well, and also typically means short white guy. Those two are also things that are pretty interchanged, but let's just show an example of what Renfrow can do well, where this play, he's going up one-on-one against that Houston defensive player right over there, and he is running a route that's going to go over the middle. But really, I think what Renfrow does best is the stem portion of his routes are just outstanding. Watch how, the stem portion is the beginning portion of the route. The route, like a route tree, well, it's the part of the route where they all go up. So, it's that beginning portion of the route. And watch how right when this ball is snapped, it's really hard to tell exactly where he could be going. I mean, he could be going to the top of the screen, could be running deep, could be running towards the inside. And so the player who's in charge of covering him, he's a lot further deep than maybe he would have been had he realized quicker that Renfrow is going to be cutting over the middle of the field. So when he does cut in, he's able to get easily open, and the safety takes a bad angle, which allows him to get all the way into the end zone for a touchdown. So that's not going to happen every time, or even a good percentage of the times, but the real reason to show that play, just the way he was able to get open at the beginning portion of the route. But hey, give him some credit for also being able to finish, although that seemed like it was largely mostly due to a safety making a bad play than him making a good one. This play is another example of what I'm talking about, where it's going to be a cover 4 zone, and that's going to be Renfrow's route. So, it's going to be basically right into a gap in coverage, which isn't spectacular. But again, it's not always a terrible thing to be in someone else's, zone that they're supposed to be covering. I said gap in coverage. I meant in the middle of someone's zone, obviously. And that's not always a terrible thing. The reason why it can be okay sometimes is simply because, you run right in there and it's basically a one-on-one matchup. So not as ideal as just getting completely open, but you can win one-on-one matchups, and that's what he's going to try to do on this play. And again, it's going to be that stem portion of the route. It's a very small stem this time, but watch how he's just takes a couple of steps in, and, again, where is he going here? He's probably cutting to some degree, but there's no way of knowing if he's going to cut towards the sideline or if he's going to cut to the middle of the field. In fact, he could just be doing a fake and still be running deep. That is a possibility. And so, again, when he does cut in, he's easily able to get open. Carr, they seem to develop some good chemistry on those types of plays where he was able to hit him right away and they're able to get a first down right there. And that's kind of what Renfrow does. He's not necessarily a guy who's going to be getting these 45-yard plays consistently, but he can get you a first down on 3rd and 5, which is very important. It's very valuable. Now, that being said, it's not like he's incapable of running a route that's deep, and in fact, the way he can run a deep route is usually used through some of the similar tactics that he does to run a more shallow route, where on this play, it's going to be a cover 1 blitz that they're going up against. So it's man coverage, and you see Renfrow's route on the screen. It's a pretty good route against this type of coverage because all he has to do is win his own one-on-one matchup, and, that's it. Then there's no one else in the area. I mean, there is a safety who could come over and make the play, but it's closer to the sideline, so there likely will be a window where this play can work. And again, watch how he runs this route, where at the beginning, he's going to sort of fake as though he's running towards the sideline. And again, this is a 3rd down. He's sort of faking close to the first down marker that he's going to be cutting. So for a Denver player, this makes total sense that this could be what he's doing. You think, okay, well, make sure I protect that first down marker. And when he starts to cut in that area, it's very logical to assume that that's where he's actually going. And so it's a smart fake there by Renfrow, using the situation to your advantage. So when he cuts up, he's able to get wide open. Carr misses the throw. One thing I talked about in my 2-hour video about Derek Carr was simply the fact that that's probably his biggest weakness, those sort of mid-range kind of floaters like that. That's kind of where he struggles the most. But, Renfrow, he was almost able to make that grab, but also he was wide open. It was just kind of a missed throw. I also want to show this play, which, again, it's going to seem like I'm kind of going over some of the same beats I have gone over in the past. But I think it's still worth mentioning. The way it works is that it's a cover 3 zone blitz that they're going up against. Renfrow's going to start off going, he's going to basically just cut a little bit in, not too far in. But watch the stem portion of this route where he at the beginning point, he still runs the part of the route that you're supposed to run. He still runs like he's going up, and then he's going to cut to the middle a little bit, which he didn't have to. I mean, honestly, with that much separation, he could just turn around and let Carr hit him, but he decides to still do this, which is going to allow him to just get that much more open. But that's not the only reason I'm showing this play. It's part of it, but what I also wanted to show was that watch what happens after he catches it. Again, a safety takes a poor angle. Renfrow is able to stay on his feet and run all the way and get the touchdown. And it kind of got me thinking, like, how does that happen a couple of times? Is it just luck? Well, possibly. I mean, it's possible that he just got lucky and was able to, happen to have safeties miss him on multiple opportunities. But there could also be other reasons. I think maybe safeties just assume him to be slower because he is a short white guy. That's possible, although I don't know how much I would actually think that is accurate. What I actually think the case is that, a lot of guys, when they go up to make those types of catches, they kind of just make the catch and fall down because they don't want to get their head taken off by a safety. But the fact that Renfrow stays up, maybe that just kind of fooled safeties a couple of times who were expecting him to go down, and they were trying to make a tackle quicker, and because he stayed on his feet, he was able to get more yards. That's the theory that makes the most sense to me, honestly, and even if that's not actually why both of those safeties took poor angles, let's just say they both happened to screw up, I still think it's a good thing for Renfrow, just in the sense that, like, it goes to show that he is fearless, he's not afraid to take a hit, and he also does look to pick up more yards after the catch, which is good for a guy who primarily specializes in making short catches. That being said, there is one major problem I have with Renfrow, and it's his hands. He has a tendency to drop a ball or two. He just does, and it's a problem. I mean, it really is, because if you're the guy who they want to go to on 3rd down or 4th down, and you sometimes drop a pass, well, that's not a very good thing. And, watch, this play is an example where it's going to just be, he's a check down, essentially. It's a 3rd down and long. They know they're probably not getting the 1st down here. If you look at the Chargers, they're totally just trying to take away that 1st down marker. And so basically the idea is that if nothing's open, just hit Renfrow, who will try to gain some yards. You play the field position game. It makes for an easier punt to try to get it, inside the 10. And so Renfrow runs out. He's wide open, but not very far down the field. Carr tries to hit him, but he just straight up drops it. And that was, an easy catch to make. Pretty much anyone can make that. I'll show the other angle just so you can see it a little bit better. And again, this isn't something that's in total isolation. I mean, this is something that you would see happen a decent amount where he would just drop some that he had no business dropping. And again, it's so weird because he will make some tough catches sometimes, but then he'll just drop the easy ones. So, it's not an ideal situation, and you would like to see him be able to make those kind of grabs better. I think for that one, it's kind of that classic example of you're thinking about what you're going to do after the catch before you even catch it, which, listen, maybe that's not a terrible idea in that situation when, not getting those 4 yards doesn't really matter too much. This isn't really, I'm not showing this play because of how bad of a play it was in terms of their impact on the game, but more so just it's an example of him missing a catch that he probably should have made. And again, I should reiterate, nothing I show here is just one play I saw. Everything I see, it's something that, everything I bring up, it's from several plays I've seen. He does have a tendency to drop. Hopefully it goes away after his rookie season. Who knows? Sometimes it does happen. Sometimes guys, will have a drop problem and then it'll just go away. Mike Evans had that happen. And Mike Evans' 2nd season, he all of a sudden was dropping a ton of passes, and then that's pretty much gone away since then. It's kind of weird how it happens, and it's usually a mental thing. So if you can get out of your own head, that typically is what it is. But yeah, I mean, as a whole, I like Renfrow. I don't think that he is like elite or anything, but I think he's very good, and he fits the John Gruden system pretty well as well. Part of me does wonder just kind of what they're doing now, where they have so many potential receivers they can use. They drafted a couple receivers, so they have a lot now. So, I mean, you can make the argument they drafted 3 receivers because obviously they got Ruggs, they drafted Bryan Edwards, and then they also had Lynn Bowden, who, I mean, he plays just offense. That's his position. So who knows exactly? I mean, I have to imagine he will get some wide receiver reps as well. So it should be interesting to see who goes where. But yeah, I mean, I think that Renfrow, he absolutely, you could argue he's just a role player, but you know what? He does his role very well, or at least decently well, and so it's definitely worth a 5th round pick, that's for sure. And he can come in through the clutch because we saw him do that in college, so that also helps. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. What did you think of the Renfrow pick? I always love hearing from you, and of course, as always, thanks for watching.